In 2003, Susan Wright appeared to have everything: a charming husband, Jeff Wright, two adorable children, and a modest home in Killeen, Texas. To neighbors, they were the picture of happiness. Jeff, a carpet salesman, was the provider. Susan, the soft-spoken wife and mother. But beneath the surface, their marriage was unraveling. Susan secretly took out a $200,000 life insurance policy on Jeff. Friends noticed her growing distance, quieter, more anxious. No one could imagine the storm brewing behind closed doors. On the outside, they were the American dream. On the inside, they were a tragedy waiting to happen.
On January 13, 2003, after putting the children to bed, Susan lured Jeff into the bedroom. She convinced him it was a night to rekindle romance. She tied him to the bedposts. But then, something dark took over. In a fit of rage and calculation, she stabbed him repeatedly, once, twice, then again, until she had plunged the knife 193 times. The walls, sheets, and floor were soaked in blood. When it was over, Jeff was lifeless. She dragged his body outside and buried him in a shallow grave in the backyard, beneath the fresh Texas soil. The next morning, Susan scrubbed the house, painted the bedroom, and told family and friends that Jeff had left after an argument. She even called the police, pretending to be a worried wife reporting her husband missing. Investigators at first believed her story, but soon neighbors began noticing strange things: the smell of fresh paint, the sudden digging in the backyard, and Susan's nervous behavior. It wasn't long before cracks began to show in her story. Days later, Jeff's family grew suspicious. His brother couldn't reach him, and his employers said he hadn't shown up for work. On January 23rd, police obtained a search warrant. When they dug up the yard, they uncovered Jeff's body, wrapped in a blanket and buried in a makeshift grave. The sight stunned even the most seasoned officers. Within 24 hours, Susan turned herself in at the Harris County Courthouse, claiming self-defense. But investigators had already found enough evidence to doubt her story.
In 2004, Susan's trial captivated Texas and the entire country. Prosecutors painted her as a cold-blooded killer who murdered for money and freedom. They argued the life insurance policy was her motive. The defense countered, saying Susan was a battered woman who snapped after years of abuse. The jury wasn't convinced. The sheer brutality of 193 stab wounds spoke louder than words. Susan Wright was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 25 years in prison. Texas was shocked. The soft-spoken woman who once appeared devoted to her family had become a symbol of betrayal and deception. Documentaries, books, and films followed, all asking the same haunting question: was Susan Wright a victim or a mastermind? What remains undeniable is the devastation left behind. 2 children without their father, a family destroyed, and a chilling reminder of how greed and secrecy can turn love into horror.